Hello, this is Jeff from Farmer Jeff's Place. Today is Tuesday, November 19th. It's a beautiful day out. However, tomorrow the storm front comes through, and tomorrow night the low is supposed to be 37 degrees. Typically, we're 4 to 6 degrees below the forecast, so we could be looking at below freezing temperatures tomorrow night. So I went around and took a bunch of pictures of the farm today, just in case we get a freeze tomorrow, to see what everything looks like here. So following this, I will give you a quick little farm tour. Very few edits at it. I just want to get it out. If I try to learn all the editing right now, it won't get out. And I need to start this so we can all share some information about the farm. So enjoy the tour. Let me know what you think. Good morning, everyone. It's Jeff at Farmer Jeff's Place. Just giving you a quick farm tour before a possible frost. It's Tuesday, November 19th. And so what we had here is some broom corn. We cut this row down here to give the zinnias here a little more light. You can see them coming back up, but this was our newest row. So they're essentially done. All the flowers are essentially done this year. Even though they look good on the camera, if you look up close, they don't do so well. So this was our last planting of zinnias, and then we had put in 2 beds of celosia. Next year we got to try to figure out what kind of celosias to all grow in, because we got these here, which is the more headish, and then you got these back here. So we want to get more of a mix, and I don't know exactly what that mix will be. And then we got our last planting of marigolds here. So we got to grow the orange and the yellow. And then these here are just old beds of flowers. I just leave them in because I don't have time to take them off, and also because the roots feed the microbes and everything else. And then what we do here with the weed cloth, we'll talk about it more later, is this is a 6-foot wide weed cloth, and this is a 6-foot wide weed cloth, and we put them 2 feet apart, and we put a 3-foot weed cloth over the top of them. It keeps all the plants from growing, which I know isn't the best thing, but it also keeps all the staples exposed so we can pull the staples easier. And then we run a 3-foot weed cloth across that we just call a header. We need to do it at the end of the beds, which we haven't gotten to yet or followed through on. And then we run 1 foot in, we run the header for the drip tape, and then we put the 1 foot back, we start the weed cloth. I used to put these underneath the weed cloth, except for if a drip tape's going to come off anything, it comes off of these, then you had to rip off the drip tape weed cloth and get underneath there, and everything else was just a pain in the butt. So this is our compromise. It's actually worked out pretty good. We grow in 12-inch, 12-inch, 9-inch, and 6-inch spacings. And the 6-inch and 9-inch have 4 drip tape, and the 1 foot has 5 drip tape. I like to always have a drip tape on the outside edge. I know a lot of professional growers don't do that. But my feeling is the roots are going to follow the water, and therefore if we have water outside of the plants, it will tend to pull the plant roots out into the aisles where there's more space for them and less competition for water. So I do things a lot different than most people do. So we'll have more YouTube videos, and we'll go over everything and just give you my perspective. So this is stock, and we got some more that can be planted out to fill this bed up. And then this was my dream, but it didn't work out too good. But these are agapanthus. They all got cut back. They need shade, and we didn't get shade up, and obviously we didn't weed. So maybe we'll see what happens this winter with those. That'd be great if they worked out. A lot of plants that everybody else can grow is very challenging to grow here. And again, just old beds that haven't been ripped out yet. They're just marigolds, zinnias, and celosia. And then this bed's a little different. We got some basil up front here, and that's actually Thai tower, and then Thai. And then back there we got some gomphrena and some ageranum. Ageranum blooms in the spring. It doesn't bloom in the summer. They have been green all year long, not a bud on them. And then we were getting into our spring flowers. So we got stock here, succession planted. You can see the height difference in the plants. I gotta go seed some more of that. And then starting to get some buds on it already. And then over here we got snapdragons with a bunch more in the greenhouse. This year we actually haven't bought any plugs in, so that's been an experiment that's done okay. And then This stock here is actually the multi-cut stock. So we planted over here with the snapdragons, multi-cut stock, and then we got larkspur. And at the end, we'll probably, where the wheat cloth was short, we'll probably put in forget-me-nots. And then over here, we will put in another snaps larkspur bed. So that's it for over here. Let me head on over to the lilies. So this here is a lily blade we planted like probably two and a half months ago. We were told that these will naturalize in Houston. The problem is if we cut them down now, they're going to be kind of cut down at the end of the time. So we'll see if they actually come back. However, because everybody grows lilies in pots, not thinking I'd put them in the ground, and they've done really, really great. So maybe we will stop growing lilies in pots in the greenhouse and start growing them in ground. Time will tell on that one. But anyways, here, if you see this mixture, so this one here has got 5 buds on it. That one's got 4 buds on it. That one's actually got 5, but this one's got 2, and 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what I want to do is get to the ones that have 4 or 5 buds on them, because let's say this bud opens up here and we don't pick it because let's say it opens up on a Tuesday. If there's 5 buds, we can cut that off and then take those 4 to market. And see, those are open at the same time. So the more buds you have, the more flexibility you have in them. So these are ready, will be ready to pick shortly. And then over here is some tuberose. And then over there is a bunch of Johnson grass. And if you're not familiar with Johnson grass, you don't want to be. It's an extremely invasive weed. Okay, on over to the sunflowers. This is our sunflower field, so that obviously these are the old beds that we haven't tore out yet. What we do is we run 3 drip tape and 6 rows of sunflowers. And we use a yang seeder to seed them. And then this is the last few beds here. So this actually will get us to, well, if they survive the freeze, it should be a light freeze. So this is our last planting. We could actually grow sunflowers year round if we didn't have freezes here. They just grow a lot slower in the winter time. But they all they're pointed away from me, but I'll show you what we got here. So these are, we plant 3 varieties right now, so they're kind of staggered. So you can see the center one here is plum, but you can see there's almost no plum blooming here. If you come back to the bed the week before, there's some plum blooming. And then here's Excel from ProCut. So we might grow some Horizon. A fellow farmer grows Horizon. I like these though. Again, we'll see if they survive. And then the last 2 rows is Vince's Choice. To me, that's the most beautiful sunflower there is. It's a little bit slower. The bees like it. Doesn't have pollen, but it's got nectar for them. And then you can see the next week's bed starting to get buds on it. So in the summertime, they're planted 4 or 5 days apart. And in the spring and fall, they're planted more like 7 days apart. So let's go show you who visits the sunflower field. Okay, so that's a mole mound. So one of the issues we have here are moles. You can see these are just the mounds of the moles. They're obviously fairly new or we haven't had rain or heavy rain because they get washed away. And so they get mounds, and then, I don't know if you can see this, but there's an old tunnel that has collapsed in the rain. So you get the holes after the rain and the mounds before. We tend to leave them just be out here. They don't do that much damage to the sunflowers. However, when they get into the regular flower field, it becomes more of an annoyance. And sometimes they're in a line. I don't see them more in a line here. I'll see if I can find you in another field where you can actually see the progression go. But you can see here, this is what happens after a rain. Okay, on to the back field. This is green gold. So this one I tried planting 2 or 3 seeds per cell, and then these were planted in single seed per cell. But we used to buy green gold, and this year we tried growing them from seed, and they actually grew much easier than I expected. Of course, they self-seed themselves too. We've had that before. So this here's the back 40. So there's actually like 20 feet of woods. It's like a strip 20 foot wide that runs the back length of this one property. And then behind that is like a 700 acre cornfield. Okay, so this is what moles look like when they get underneath the wheat claw. You can see the, I don't know if you can see it or not, but you got the hill and you got the, where they put it out. And this is the one I tripped on walking down here. So you can see, again, the only damage they would have done was like to those 3 plants over there. So it's not horrible, but it's annoying. I think I got a solution using castor oil. I don't like using soap as an emulsifier. I've never had good luck with that. But I got some polysorbate 80. And this is andrographic, so some big weeds in it. But we'll take you back to another place where you can see it. Okay, this is where I'm trying to grow some medicinal herbs. So this purple one's holy basil, which we might try to grow in, try to put in some bouquets if it doesn't freeze. And then this is Vanna, which is an African basil. And then this is the other holy basil. But what I noticed walking through here is, I believe we planted teasel in here, and you can see, you know, there's not much teasel. But now, I thought these might be weeds, but those are actually teasel plants. These very, very few survive. It's biennial. Obviously, it doesn't mind the soil. It just doesn't like the hot weather. We grow a lot of crops here just don't like this soil. It's pH of 7.5, water 7.5. Flower farmer nearby said she's tried echinacea for 3 years. It failed every year. We tried echinacea, it fails. Everyone else loves echinacea. So a lot of stuff that everybody else grows just doesn't do well here. We got a ton of calcium. So that's, I believe it's teasel, which I would really like to be able to grow. It sounds like it's got some amazing properties. So maybe we'll have to try planting it in late fall and just let it come back the next year. So I believe that's licorice root. Didn't do well. And this is marshmallow, which I thought would be way too hot here. But it actually did pretty good. And then this here is andrographics, which is extremely, extremely bitter. And then this is a tuberose bed here. And this is a tuberose bed that's kind of been attacked by moles in this area. And I forget the name of this plant, but there's 2 varieties. There's a cheap variety and an expensive variety. This is the more expensive variety. And you can see that it readily self-seeds. So I need to dig up some of these self-seeded ones and fill in this row. And then this is thistle over here, which I don't know if it just died back because all the thistle in the field died back, or if it just simply died. And then everyone likes Baptisia. And you can see here, you know, that's 1-year-old Baptisia. It doesn't like it. It's doing okay in the other part of the farm, but it doesn't grow very fast. And this is 2 beds of yarrow from last year. If you put 60% shade cloth, like 30% will overwinter, but we just didn't do shade cloth this year, and you can see it all died back. And this is mountain mint. This is the mountain mint that seeds from what Johnny sells. This was grown from seed, but it's the mountain mint that Farmer Bailey sells in plugs. And then this is my thing over here. This is 2 beds of aloe, which is taken over by weeds. Looks good now. Got some rain. It was looking pretty sick before the rain. So this is the Stockman A1 version of aloe. So I need to start eating this and doing different things with it. And obviously clean the weeds out of it. We had some amaryllis bulbs that were neglected, never taken care of. So this year we moved them. There's not many of them, but they actually grow in the ground pretty good here. And this is self-seeded celosia. So we'll see. Maybe we don't protect them from frost, but this year maybe we'll protect them from frost to see what happens to them. Since they do naturalize here and they will have babies and everything, I might try growing some and just see what happens. It's just kind of they'd all come at about the same time. So it'd be like 1 or 2 weeks of just amaryllis. Time will tell if we do that. This here is roselle. It's something I would really like to grow. However, getting it past 2 feet in height is extremely challenging, and I've talked to other people at farmers markets and they said they have that challenge. But once it gets past 2 feet, it grows quite well. And so what we do is, it's medicinal, and I think it's actually what hibiscus tea is made out of. What we do, you can see the calluses here. This plant obviously is dying, but we cut those off and put them in the bouquets, just some textural elements. And people actually really enjoy them. So again, that's what roselle or hibiscus looks like. They're very tart and very bitter. The interesting thing is several people sell them in the Houston markets. In the Austin market I went to, not a single person sold them. So you can see there, if that was sticking out of your bouquet, how it would give it some color and some texture. And then let's talk about celosia. You can see how tall this celosia is here. So this is Kramer's Amazon, but we got the short celosia I showed you before, and then this celosia here, which will grow 5-6 feet tall. And you can see that's one plant right there. So you can get a lot of cuttings off of one plant. So those all self-seeded. All these empty holes here were where roselle was supposed to be. But again, like I said, these here it didn't get past that 2 foot mark. This here I got to see how it works out. This is Purple Night, I think. It's something they showed. I saw it in the GeoSeed catalog. It says it only gets like 18 inches tall, but it's obviously almost up to 3 feet. So I got to cut it and see how it lasts in bouquet in water. But it's kind of an interesting color with the little buds on it. Okay, this was my find of the year. I actually got some several years ago, but I went to the source this time. So around the farm here, probably within a 10-mile radius, there's probably hundreds of thousands of potted plants. There's huge nurseries that grow potted plants here. So I went to one of them and asked them if I could buy their potting soil, because I was looking for it, because I'll show you a raised bed we're gonna make. And they said no, and I said, well, what about some used potting soil? And they said, yes, we can sell you used potting soil, but not new. So we got a 10-wheeler dump truck full. It was actually only about $160 for the entire 10-wheeler. And these guys grow, well, they're starting to get into small trees, but they grow like the $5,000 trees, in the 6-foot wooden crates. So, so this is what you could see was what is left. It had a lot of fertilizer in it. It was amazing how many little specks of fertilizer you could find in it. But you can see it's used. It's got the wooden crates in it. The pots, the trees that died, the wooden crates, the straps that hold the wooden crates together. So we'll try getting another one next year. So there's the 2 farm dogs. One's really fun, one's a pain in the butt. So this is when Hurricane Helene came, we took the plastic off, but this will be a greenhouse this fall. And we're trying a bunch of different things in here. So this is Crispidia, grows in the fall, doesn't like the summers, doesn't like being in ground. So this is that raised bed I was talking about. There's 2 kinds of raised beds you can use. One with essentially potting mix, soilless, no soil at all. And there's one you want to use soil. Obviously the soil's the better one in my opinion. However, our soil isn't good, so we're going to go in the potting mix. There's a lot of stuff here will grow in pots, but that won't grow in the soil. So this is our limited supply of growing plants like that. Yeah, she wants to sit down in the shade. So these are all Gerbers. So they're still in pots right now, but once we get done, probably next week or so, we'll put them in. We'll take them out of the pots and we'll put them in the raised bed. Some Dusty Miller. Actually, these were bought from a nursery, a greenhouse around here. More Gerbers. And this here is zinnias. There's another flower farmer. If I get a chance, I'll give you a tour of his farm. He's much, much, much bigger. He's probably one of the bigger flower farmers around here. Excluding Arnoski's, which is on the other side of town, of the state. These are double oriental lilies. These are in the pot still. I'm trying to transition to cattle panels for supports. I just dislike that Hortonova. It's just a pain in the butt. So down here, Gerbers love the winter. They do not like the summer at all. So this is lemon leaf. This is Vietnamese spinach. And this is Astromeria. We had a whole bunch of plants. We got 4 left. they don't like the ground, they don't like the heat. And this back here is kind of neglected, but that's Gloriosa lilies, something that the other person really likes. And then I don't like narrow highways, but I know in greenhouses that's what you get. So that's going to be more Dusty Miller. I think we're going to get Cosmos in this other bed. I'm not sure what's all going to go in here, but what we need to do is we need to get another hose, and then we can slide this over here for this bed, and slide that over there to that bed, and just take the hose on and off from here. And then this here we essentially spoon feed, so every drop of water has a little bit of fertilizer in it. Okay, this is actually a shade structure that we built. It's got T-posts, and then the arches, and then those pipes are used to keep the posts on top of the arches on top of the T-posts. And then before, when we had the shade cloth on it, we actually had concrete blocks tied to them to hold it down. And the whole thing kind of blew a little bit. It all moved to an angle with the wind, and so this is a ranunculus here. There's some dianthus at the very end, and then this is some delphiniums that we planted ourselves. So we'll see how that goes. These are the less expensive ones, and then there's some Guardian down there. I think next year we'll go back to buying them again. Okay, so this is okra. Nobody likes to eat it because it's fat. They all like skinny stuff. But this year we didn't use it, but last year we put these also in bouquets, and people actually really enjoyed them. They had no clue what they were. And then when they said okra, oh yeah, that's okra. But you can see you could just put like 2 of them sticking out, you know, your bouquet. It looks kind of cool. So this whole bed here is self-seeded. We didn't plant any of this year. So all of this came up from the seeds. You can see like here, all those seeds in there. So there's a lot of seeds in one pot of okra. So I collected a bag in case we want to grow them next year. So that's another unique thing that actually adds a lot. You don't want to use, well, you can use the skinny stuff, but they've got a red tint to them. And Kramer's Farm sells some on ball seed also, but they're pretty pricey. And I think what they do is they wait until they get to the dried stage here. It's like this one here, it's totally dried. So this is a disaster of a greenhouse. Needs to be redone. The plastic is old, the weeds are here and everything else. But we've got a fertilizer injector here. We just use a 5-gallon bucket to hold the fertilizer in. And then we actually just use these sprinklers here to water them. When the wind blows, it tends to blow the water all to one direction, and we're having issues with our pump right now, so the pressure isn't as high as it should be. And our germination is far from good, but these down here, the fuzzy ones are larkspur. These are delphiniums, and then back there is forget-me-nots. And you can see here's a lot of larkspur, some delphiniums, and then dianthus, adrian, which poor germination. Some more Dusty Miller, green gold, which actually germinates. It just takes forever. Some neglected cosmos, and then this is all snapdragons in here. And that's stock just coming up. Stock germinates pretty quickly. And these are all straw flowers here. So 3 trays did okay, 1 tray didn't. So what we'll do is we'll start these again so we can plant them. So these are like the initial plantings for spring, and then we'll start another set that we can plant out like in January. Okay, so this is a patch of weeds mostly, but actually down there's thyme, oregano, and za'atar. I'm into health and nutrition. I'm trying to grow some herbs and things like that. So this is asparagus here, 2 beds of that. This was actually planted from seed. Seed is so much easier because you just plant it like a plug. You don't have to dig out a big root hole. Yeah, it takes an extra year or so. But these were planted this year. So these are 9 months old right now. So that's 2 beds of asparagus. And this is some ashwagandha. So those are 3 rows of plants. You can see they're doing pretty well. And you can see they create a gazillion seeds. All those berries are full of seeds. And they're starting to appear around the farm. So obviously the birds or something is moving them. And then this is some butterfly pea that the sheep got. And you can see all the blue flowers are coming back. So that's a quick tour of most of the farm. I'm not going to do much editing so I can get it out, because otherwise it will just sit there and go nowhere. And I want to start doing this. So I will do more in the future. Hope you enjoyed it. Got any questions, comments, ideas, please let me know. Always, I'm a collector of knowledge, collector of ideas. So if you got ideas, please share them. Have a great day.